be the tip and scale to really create a domino effect that no one ever seen coming. I would like to remind people there's going to be a lot of people that's going to judge you and tell you you're too naive.
I start by saying that there are multiple different conversations that comes when it comes to future of work trends.
One thing that I always find really interesting is how many people kind of all agree that this is the time for Africa to shine and there is a lot happening out there, but no one has really taken the step to do anything.
So it's very this question where you're applying for the job, they say you don't have any experience, but you need experience to have experience.
With all the measures of caution back to normal in order to keep our societies functioning.
Hello all. Thank you for attending this great experiment, and thanks for having me. It is an honor to be a keynote speaker for the first summit where the audience does not have to wear pants.
I want to reframe artificial intelligence, reframe AI as a potential remover of fear and not the cause. I'm sure this is something that we hear a lot in our various businesses, in our conversations, that AI is going to be this global catastrophic risk and end us all, especially if you're fans of sci-fi.
So the blockchain and cryptocurrencies represent a whole new different world. It's like a different universe in which we get to write the rules.
So in this particular photo, we did a documentary about what quarantine looked like in Hangzhou, China, when COVID first hit. And we were able to play that experience with a group of our colleagues and peers, watch it and discuss it together inside of VR.
AI and quantum computing and brain-computer interfacing and the future of computing, it's all based on mastery of matter at the nano scale.
For the first time for this country, I see say young people come together, do something. Nobody talk about the kind church where they go, the kind God where they pray to, the tribe where you come from, the language where you they speak, the clique where you did, the economic class where you did. I just dey for everything just dey happen like clockwork.
So you have a lot of young people who are getting into positions where they can influence more things happening for us in the tech ecosystem, and I think that is great.
Yeah. Somebody presque $1,000 par mois. Qui va combien de jeunes qui a école? Ou bien on peut parler. L'autre bagarre encore. L'autre bagarre goûter maman en Haïti. Pour ouvrir une compagnie SA, faut ouvrir un compte en banque dans BLC avec 100 000 gouttes sous lui. L'on fin ouvrir compagnie ça, ou à dans BLC, il faut rouvrir l'autre compte encore. Ça crée 100 000 gouttes là.
You know that women make up half of the world's working age population, but right now are generating about 37% of GDP.
To me, it's really easy. And if you think about the technologies today that can even examine patients remotely, where you have devices like this, the Med one, for example, which can do a number of physical examinations remotely.
I say to a lot of entrepreneurs that you have to treat every situation as though it is an investor meeting, as though it is something that's significant that can support you with your business.
We have the world's first and largest digital accelerator. We have been running digital accelerators for the past 6 years. So we're so excited again to bring you this program virtually so you can still engage with this content.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the second session of the GSE Digital Accelerator program. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to the session today. So welcome once again, and it's great to see you all once again. I can see in the chat feed, kindly share where you are joining in from and tell us about your startup as well. We'll be projecting some of the comments on the screen and then be doing highlights on some of them as well. So thank you all for joining the session today, and welcome once again. Okay. So hi, Levi. I see Levi from Kenya joined. How about you? Where are you joining in from? Tell us where you're joining in from in the comment section. Let us know where you're joining in from. Welcome to each and every one of you. We had our first session last week, and it was a great session where we had an amazing lineup of speakers join us on the session and talk everything related to entrepreneurship. So welcome once again, and congratulations for making it to this program. In the chat feed, tell us where you're joining in from, and let's see. Okay, I see Melanie from Mala. Welcome, Melanie from Kenya as well. Let us know which country you're joining in from. In the chat feed, just put it in the chat feed, and the team will be picking it up and scrolling. So welcome. Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of Kenyans in the comment feed. So welcome each and every one of you to this Accelerator program. It's my pleasure to welcome you once again. I'd like to go over a brief recap. Last week we heard from Christine and Tim. We also heard from James Barud, Yang Shang, and Michael brought on the panel. What was your takeaway from the sessions last week? Let us know. We had a very powerful session from the CEO. So we would like to welcome comments and your views on your takeaways from that session. Let us know. So that was the speaker lineup for last week's session, and it was great. It was a very great session. I'm sure you agree with me. And in the chat, you let us know your takeaways, what you remember from the session yesterday. What was the key lesson that you learned? We have an exciting lineup of speakers for this week as well, and today in particular. So we'll be welcoming our very first speaker shortly. But in the meantime, keep putting the chat feed where you're joining in from and putting in your information about your startup programs. Okay, So welcome. Once again, I see people are still trickling in with their comments, and welcome Benjamin as well. Let us know where you are joining in from, and the team will be picking up and be putting on the screen. Okay, so for this week and for today in particular, for this session, we'll be hearing from Sabrina Lamb, who is an information management officer at Grow Strong Foundation. And for the panel later on the session, we also have a panel discussion, interesting panel discussion with Chief Operating Officer of Universal Hospitals Group, as well as the World Economic Forum, an interesting panel discussion that will be going on. And we would, as usual, would also invite questions for the panel as well. So do make sure these sessions are supposed to be as engaging as possible. So we look forward to that session. So we'll kickstart today's session with the keynote, and we'll be welcoming our keynote speaker pretty shortly. She's getting ready backstage, and we'll welcome her soon. Okay. So for the first keynote, we'll kick off today's session with an amazing keynote from Sabrina Lamb. So we look forward to that shortly. So we'll be welcoming our keynote speaker in the person of Sabrina Lamb. Welcome, Sabrina, to the GSE Startup Accelerator program. It's a pleasure to have you on today.
And it is an honor to be here, Grand Rising, wherever you are and wherever anyone is in the world.
Great. Okay, so I'll leave it to you to kick off, to go ahead with your keynote.
Excellent, excellent. Just a quick pulse check. Where are you joining us in the world? If you could put where country, what city you are joining us from. I'd like to have a conversation with you. As introduced, I am Sabrina Lamb, the founder and CEO of Wekeza, which means save and invest in Swahili. Great, I'm seeing Kenya and Jamaica and Ethiopia. Fantastic. I have to ask you a question. Wherever you are in your business right now, what idea or taking it to the next level voice have you kind of talked yourself out of it? Every initiative, every business I have created from scratch came from an idea, like many of you. And then, of course, you're automatically surrounded by naysayers, and some of the naysayers may be you. Always remember this: never seek permission from anything or anyone outside of yourself. Your vision is enough for whatever you're working on, an initiative, a business, whatever it is. Because sometimes we talk ourselves out of it, or we seek permission. I need to speak to so-and-so because I admire him or her so. And then they have to bless my idea. No. That's not how it goes. When you are, and I definitely believe that you all are determined, not want, determined to be over the moon successful, over the moon creating your wildest dream, more than you could ever imagine, more than you could ever experience. That requires to only lean in to your own vision, to what you are determined to accomplish with whatever business, initiative, whatever it is. Never seek permission outside of your own self, your own vision. You are enough. I was attending a business conference in Jamaica many years ago. And a friend of mine, he wasn't a friend then, but he was telling me about this vision he had. He's a filmmaker. And he said, I knocked on this agency's door and I knocked on this investor's door, and they all said no. I said, Raymond, how many doors did you knock on? He said, over 40, Sabrina. And he was so sad. And I said, you don't need any of their permission to create your film. You don't need anyone's permission. So what you need to do is go home to Chicago, use your apartment as the set for your film, have your cousins to be the production crew, your family to feed the crew, and guess what? He did that, and his film became an award-winning film that he said, oh, I'm enough. Oh, I whatever I have, whatever resources I have, I can make a way out of no way. And what I hear often from entrepreneurs throughout the African diaspora, have you ever characterized your business as small? Have you? Have you characterized, I have a small business? Well, I bet you can guess what I'm going to say about that. Stop characterizing your business as small. When someone introduces themselves and says, hi, I'm the CEO or the executive director of this small, stop it. It's either a business or it's not a business. I'm asking you what size your business is. Because when you characterize yourself and your business or whatever you're working at is small, those are the kind of resources that you will absolutely attract. So are you in business or not? And I just want to reiterate in the limited time that we have together is that this conversation, how you're hearing and how you are applying this to your life will absolutely catapult you to the next level. But this has to be front and centered. When I created World of Money, the worldofmoney.org is a website, the leading provider of immersive financial education for children from 7 to 18 in the United States and 4 African countries. When I first uttered the idea that children throughout the African diaspora would have access to culturally reflective, child-centered financial education, I received the no's, the boos. Children don't need that. I don't know it, so a child doesn't. I heard where are you going to get the funding from, Sabrina? Started with 10 students, and now over 20,000 children, young people throughout the African diaspora have received instruction from the World of Money. And then when I was in Nairobi, Kenya, meeting with executives of the Nairobi Securities Exchange, teaching briefly at the University of Nairobi and meeting with families and educators, wanted to understand what were the barriers to achieving wealth or financial security or multilingual financial education. And I started to listen and to see and I started to share my idea. Well, why don't we create a company called Wakeza, which is, as I said earlier, is a Swahili word. And then, everyone throughout the African diaspora can have access to multilingual financial education and can invest in US stocks and ETFs. Man, when I shared that idea, people looked at me like I had 5 heads. Okay. But again, I don't listen. When I'm inspired by an idea, something inside myself that's larger than myself, I say I'm determined to do it. And so now the Wakeza app is live on the app stores. When people from amazing Wakeza investors from 6 African countries have downloaded the app and beginning their financial security journey. What if I had listened to the naysayers. And the naysayers may not be your best friend, or maybe they are your best friend, but it could be you. It could be you. So get out of your own way. Determine what is your determination for your initiative, for your life. And as we're entering or beginning to wrap up the fourth quarter of this year and then move into 2026, your new year starts now. Your new year starts every time you wake up. And I hope that you've received this. Am I saying that, oh, well, I'll just believe in myself and then I'll never have hard times? Of course, as entrepreneurs, we're creators, okay? My day ends around 1 a.m. and begins at 5 a.m. So this idea of financial freedom and freedom with your schedule, that's outrageous. But this Wakiza is the crown jewel of my life. And thank goodness I don't listen. I don't share, okay, what's in my heart, what's in my vision, because that vision, every leader, African leader, Caribbean leader, successful entrepreneur, never gave up. So I pray, everyone, all Jamaica, Ethiopia, Nigeria, United States, wherever you are listening, that you hit the reset in your own life and get busy, get to work. You don't need permission. Just go for it. You don't have funding. So what? Use what you have. It's all in your hands. It's all in your hands. It's all in your hands. And all very successful entrepreneurs created whatever their business initiative is out of nothing and came from financially vulnerable communities. So bless you. I'm already proud of you. I pray that you will hit that reset button and be the shining light throughout the African diaspora, because there are no economic or very few economic safety nets. Entrepreneurs are the wave of the future. Entrepreneurs create value in communities, in your families, for generational financial security. Your community, they don't know it yet, but your community, your family, and your country can't wait to cheer you on. But first, you got to get out of your own way. So in conclusion, never accept permission or seek permission. Never seek permission outside of your own life. Whatever resources you have, appreciate it. Appreciation is really key. And use that to build, to build, to build, to build, to build. And I'm already cheering for you. So my ask of you is to download the Wakiza app and start your own financial journey and financial security journey, and share it with your community. From now until December 31st, it's free trading, financial education for youth, adults, all from your mobile phone, and all in the languages spoken through or to or in the African diaspora, whether it's English, French, Hausa, Yoruba, Wolof, Twi, who am I missing? I'm missing someone, but Swahili, how could I forget that? But it's really for us as a global community to determine that we're going to have financial security in our lives, our families, our communities, and our nations. I am Sabrina Lamb. Thank you so much for being here. I'm already proud of you. Wakiza, download the Wakiza app now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Abinal. It was a real pleasure having you, and that was some amazing thought leadership shared over there. It was very inspirational, and thank you so much for sharing the the information about the wikis, I find it quite useful, and I believe the further should check it out as well. And for just before you go, is there any last piece of advice you would like to give to the cohort, particularly if they are thinking of giving up?
So we cannot ignore those feelings of wanting to give up. I get that. But there's a thing called never slander the value and the power in your own life. Never do that. Start with appreciating all of the talents that you have refused to recognize, whether you're analytical ability, whether that's counting or that's accounting or organizing. Never give up, because the moment you give up, you could be 5 seconds away from your victory. And then, as I was saying earlier, the why would you give up? Why? Because they didn't approve of you. They didn't give you this. You don't feel you have support. Listen, again, everything that I've created didn't come with being rallied around by people that support it. They support you after you've built it. It's so funny. After you build it, they'll be praising you. Congratulations. Well, I was telling you about this 4 years ago. But they're watching you from afar. They're watching you from afar, and then will praise and cheer you. Again, you don't need anybody else's approval, okay, or permission for you to shine in your own life.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for that piece of advice. And you don't need anyone's permission to shine in your own life. So thank you so much for that. And it's a pleasure having you all once again. And we always call on you as well. I wish you all the best in your endeavors as well. Thank you so much for sharing your thought leadership with us today.
Thank you.
People, that was Sabina Lam, our first keynote for the session today, and we'll be quickly transitioning to the panel discussion for today. And this panel is an exciting one. We have two ladies here who will be joining me shortly, and we'll be discussing everything relating to entrepreneurs. It's quite an exciting session, I promise you, and it's themed building smart partnerships, and we are going to look at how startups can collaborate with industry leaders for scale and impact. So we'll cue them in shortly as we transition to the panel. Hello. Welcome, Kathleen and Nina. It's a pleasure having you on the session today. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is our panel for today. We have Nina Ojo-Enkima, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Universal Hospitals Group, as well as Kathleen Nero, who is the Head of Strategic Partnerships, as well as the Head of Professional Services for World Economic Forum. Ladies, welcome to the session today. It's my pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great. So we know your titles, but we want to know you better in terms of what you do, right? As you know, this panel is geared towards looking at strategic partnerships that are key to startup success, and you want to explore how founders can identify and approach and also sustain high value partnerships and learn how to align these things with accelerated innovation and enhance their credibility as well. So do tell us what you do or how you came about what you do now. I'll start with you, Nina.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name again, like Stanley had mentioned, is Nina Oduro Emiakana. I am currently serving as the Chief Operating Officer at Universal Hospitals Group, which is short for UHG, in short, UHG. And we build and improve hospitals and medical facilities across Africa. So when you think of us, really think of us as the people who make sure that the healthcare infrastructure actually gets built and then also works efficiently. I have previously worked with Goldman Sachs advising Black women business owners in how to grow their companies and also make the biggest impact that they could. My background is also a mix of business operations and also with psychology, as I'm currently obtaining my PhD in organizational psychology. And this is a short version of business psychology. So basically, I study how people and organizations really work and help them solve the problems in much more efficient ways. On a personal side, I also mentor and serve as on various nonprofits focused specifically on healthcare access for women and girls, particularly in Ghana. And that's me.
Great. Welcome once again, Kathleen.
Yeah.
Great. Nice to meet you, Nina and Stan. Good to see you. As you mentioned, yes, I look after our strategic partners at the World Economic Forum, which are sort of the most highly engaged partners, primarily like global multinationals, although there are a few foundations as well in the mix. And I also look after our professional services industries. It's folks like McKinsey, Bain, those folks who engage with us throughout the year as well on many of the, I think the World Economic Forum is best known for Davos, Switzerland, this global convening that we host every year with world leaders from multiple stakeholders. But we do a lot of work throughout the year as well, and our professional services firms support that work. And I am a lawyer by training, actually. Practiced law for a few years. Then I moved into sales and account management with Bloomberg, and have worked a bit in communications as well. And now have been at the forum for a good many years. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. Welcome to you too. And it's really great to have you both with these diverse backgrounds that you both have. And we'll dive right into the discussion. We want to first look at why partnerships between startups and big organizations are more important today than they've ever been, particularly because of the innovation landscape that we have today. So my question is, why are partnerships, particularly between startups and big organizations, more important today? I'll start with you, Nina.
Okay. So for me, with what I would see it as, I think it is more important than ever today because neither of us can do it alone, right? Startups have a fresh way of bringing new ideas and they move quite quickly. So they often, with all the things going on, they often lack some resources. Whether it's market access or even some levels of credibility. So with big organizations, they have the capital, they have the infrastructure, and they also have the clientele. So, but they can't innovate the same way like a startup can, right? They move a bit more slower. So I feel for right now, the pace of change is too fast right now for big companies to figure out everything internally. And with startups, they can't scale without any support. So when they come together and they work together, startups can actually get the run up of what they need to actually grow efficiently. And big companies can also get the innovation without having to start from scratch. So it's kind of like survival for both. It's a nice way to have, anymore, like in the sense of like, I need you, you need me, but let's work together to kind of see how cohesively this could work out. So that's what kind of how I see it, as why the levels of importance is pretty high today.
Great. How about you, Kathleen? Why do you think it's important today?
Yeah, I mean, I think very well said by Nina. Maybe just to complement that, it's or to say it the same but different. It's like, it's like you can only go so far alone, right? But with like probably a larger company at your side, you can do so more effectively, like get into new markets, access probably different technology, maybe diversity of thought and skills and resources comes into play. So it can be just a bit more effective than going at it alone,
Yeah, I agree with that as well. So, and that shows in the kind of deals we kept hearing at the beginning of the year, particularly in Africa, where we saw some startups closing. Am I muted? Closing deals with much larger corporations as well. And just following up with that, what signs show that a partnership is truly strategic and not just a one-off deal? I'll start with you, Kathleen, this time.
Yeah, I guess it's in my title, right? I think having come from a background that was more sales and account management, more client relationship, I definitely noticed the difference between a pure like client relationship and more of the term partnership, right? So a partnership is, you're not always just saying yes. You're not always jumping through hoops to please the other person. You got to truly think about it strategically and long term. And there's usually very clear give and take, right, on both sides. So I think that can be a big distinguishing factor. You can tell it's a partnership when you're having those hard conversations, when you're able to have them. There's probably like a consistent like feedback loop going on, because generally you're like putting egos aside and you're saying, okay, we know the best outcome is going to come from us two or us multiple organizations working together, and we need to be open and honest with each other to get that done. It's kind of like a family relationship in a bit, like if you have a sibling or a partner in a marriage or another type of relationship, you're very open with them, right? You let the guard down. You show what you need from each side to get it done. And I think that's when you can tell it's strategic and it's going to carry on, and you're going to get hopefully accomplish what you set out to do.
Okay. Nina, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, very well said, Kathleen. I think also to add, maybe similar to what she used, I love the analogy as far as like a partner, like a marriage or some level of a relationship. In any relationship, it really goes in from the inception of just like a mutual investment. You're investing in me, I'm investing in you. So we're both putting our real resources together, time, money, people, and it's not just like testing the waters. We've thoroughly thought about this together, and we both want to mutually invest in each other. And I think just piggybacking off of her mentioning kind of like a learning mindset as well, like both sides are willing to be able to adapt, pivot, and learn from each other, and not just enforce one way of doing things. So
great. Thank you for the submission. And this one maybe more focused towards you, Nina, in terms of healthcare industry, right? We've seen that in industries, particularly in the healthcare, trust is everything, right? And most of these startups set off trying to build credibility and earn the trust of much larger players so that they can end some of these partnerships. So how can startups build credibility and earn the trust of larger players?
Okay, so I will probably use one of our projects, one of the I guess it's like one of our pilot projects. I'm pretty sure many of you guys or some of you guys are familiar with the Bank Hospital in Ghana. And we were the contractors that constructed the hospital. So when UHG was evaluating the partnership, even just from the government, Bank of Ghana, to us as a smaller company, the things that we kind of made up front was kind of like letting them understand that we will deliver on any of the small promises, which meant like we weren't going to overpromise them. We weren't going to do what we will say we will do, and we can't even do the little things. So we wanted to internally just build trust little by little. We also wanted to show off our expertise that we've done in other countries within West Africa. So we brought data, we brought case studies, the proof to understand that we understand the industry and the real issues going on in the healthcare sector, and not just saying we can do it. Another part was transparency without any forms of limitation. We pretty much were honest about what we can't do and what we can do. For instance, the Bank Hospital in the beginning stages of the construction, they wanted to have a helicopter pilot at the top of the roof. Now, that is something that we have done before. However, the infrastructure based in where it is in cantonments, the airplane helicopter cannot be at the top of the hospital. It just infrastructure wise, it just could not be there. So we would not promise them something that we could not do, right? We also aligned with their priorities. We had them understand what keeps them at night, like what keeps them up at night. We had to kind of like align with what their needs were, whether it was regulatory issues, patient outcomes, or anything in that sense of cost, pharmacy costs, ambulance costs. We pretty much wanted to align our thoughts with their priorities. And then lastly, we brought also the right subcontractors, the right advisors, the right investors, the right customers, early signals of any customers that we could vet out that they already knew of, that we also eliminated from, so that at least they could build that level of trust with us to know that we were on their side and we were supporting them 100%. So in healthcare, especially, when you determine like understanding the risks, compliance, and patient safety, that to us was not even an option. That was something that we knew for sure that's what the Bank of Ghana actually wanted with the results of the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true what you mentioned, because once you mentioned the helipad, I was wondering how they would navigate that for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't promise what you know you can't offer as well. So that's great. Kathleen, what can startups do to earn the trust of major players?
Yeah, I would maybe extract some things from what Nina said and say like there's so much listening and communication that needs to be gotten right? So and it doesn't take that long, really. If you can, right, like you just need a couple really good, easy wins of showing that you're listening and that you're showing up and you're sort of communicating to your point on like not over promising and under delivering. And then the other partner feels, okay, got it, I can rely on you. So I would say that's key. Responsiveness, communication, listening.
Okay, great. And in the world of business, we've seen that partnerships can go sideways, right? And I want to find out, what can startups learn about managing power dynamics and expectations, particularly with bigger partners, because that's where usually the issues come in. Kathleen, do you want to go first on this?
Sure. Yep. I have some war wounds to reflect on, but I would say like definitely the opposite of like not communicating well, not listening. But to your question about the power dynamics and expectations, we can also, you can do the best job like listening and whatever, but if you're not understanding those dynamics, right, things can also easily go off the rails. And I think really like taking stock of the partnership and understanding who you have relationships with and who actually has power within that organization, both on paper and also like that soft power, is important to know. And then, sometimes what can happen too is like it's either the CEO or some C-suite members like passion project. They have a vision for how they want this partnership to go. And you kind of have to make sure you understand that and that you're like protected if something happens to that person. If that person leaves the organization, is there a number two? Is there, how does the rest of the C-suite feel about it? So just taking the time to like do that landscape analysis and understand the players and the partner, I think is a good exercise to do whenever you kick off a partnership. I don't know. Nina, you probably have ideas there too.
Agreed, 100% agreed. I think to piggyback off of that too is also to, within the Ghanaian or the African culture environment, also understanding that as a startup, startups move pretty fast. They quickly want to go, they have an idea, they say, hey, I want to hurry up and get it done. But sometimes when you're dealing with bigger partners or government agencies, you have to understand that, they move differently. And there's layers to even their approval process. Then with that, frustration builds. I haven't get paid. So those dynamics happen. So when you are a startup, really the biggest thing I would say is like manage, you can manage this by setting up like realistic timelines and really understanding the internal processes of how the organization or how the company actually runs. Just like Kathleen had mentioned, if something happens and a CEO or another C-level suite individual is no longer there, understand who's the next in command so that the timelines wouldn't be so off for you as a startup to continue moving and progressing. Control what you can control. And the only thing that you can control at this point is setting up realistic timelines and understanding the internal processes.
All right, great. And we've seen a lot of digital transformation in recent times with businesses within every sector has been involved in or has experienced digital transformation, as well as sustainability issues as well. And what new partnership model should startups be ready for? Because we are in an ever-changing world and we see a lot of changes. So it seems like once you change into something, then within a short time, you have to be changing again. So what new partnership model should startups be ready for?
I could take one. I could take one thing that we did and specifically that we do in the healthcare when it comes to sustainability and the healthcare, like partnerships that we have had, we've seen them increase literally when we tie in the success to measurable outcomes, meaning like whether it's like the health improvements, the equity metrics, the carbon reduction, when we match those to the outcomes, we're ready to be able to like prove to them that it's not just an activity, but it's actually like once we actually use technology and we use the data from it, it actually shows the results of what the success rate is. So that's one way that we've tried to introduce a lot of technology transformation, especially with patient records and things like that. Specifically when we were doing the bank hospital, those are things that we really implemented and try to like inform them about.
Nice. Yeah, maybe to complement that, like something that, of course, the World Economic Forum is very familiar with, but I think startups should think about is more like ecosystem-based partnerships. So like you have your one problem, right? And you're like, oh, maybe I need a corporate partner, maybe I need a government partner, but taking the time to pull back and then think, actually, might I need a multi-stakeholder partnership because this problem could be more systemic. And like you were saying, Nina, startups like to move fast. This would likely slow you down a little bit, but possibly get you a better outcome in the long run if there are instances where you might need to take like an ecosystem approach, right? Because you'll identify other players with a little bit of friction, and you can work together to maybe solve that. And then also, of course, tech enabled partnerships, I think, are a big trend, right? And sometimes easily integrating like your startup's tech with a larger company or vice versa is another model that I think we're seeing a lot of these days.
Okay, great. I have a couple of questions from the cohorts that I'll go to you as well. So the first one is to you, Nora, I think. So from Fuzitech Solutions, it says, my team is currently looking for serious partnership alliance for our tech events coming up next month. How would you approach it if you were the brand manager?
Yeah. Did you want to come in?
Yeah, after you.
I think it always helps to think about what's in it for the other person, right? To start there. So you know what you're looking for. Put yourselves in the shoes of the target that you're going after, and then say, okay, how can I make this attractive to them? So then just sort of packaging that up as like a value proposition and saying, hey, would you like to work together? Like, here's what I think you could get out of it. Obviously, we're looking for this out of it, but it could be a win-win, and just kind of put yourself in the shoes of the other to try to pitch it. So it's like you're capturing what's most appealing to them.
Yeah. And then also another, just to add on to that, also seeing too the trends of what they're also looking at right now. What are their concerns? Where are they looking at maybe trying or adapting to seeing this could be something that we could dabble into, but not too confident, and picking that as some things like a hot topic to discuss or just even to bring up. And if you feel that it's it's being caught well received, continue going deeper with it so that at least you caught that level of interest, because a lot of times they're thinking about so many things. And sometimes if you bring something to their attention that they might have glanced through or seen through an article or something that they were reading or somebody mentioned to it at another event, at that point, they're now looking at you with another level of interest.
Yeah.
So just kind of doing due diligence about also two things that they might be interested in, just based off of the industry.
Okay. And he has a second question, and this is relating to the question about making deals with building credibility as well. So it's asking, do not overpromise or under-deliver, but in a case where the partners have committed and a new challenge shows up, what will make the plans fail, and how do you go about it?
What would make the plans fail? Like if the plan failed?
Yeah, so there's a challenge along the way during executing a partnership project, and you try to address it. How do you go about it if plans fail?
I mean, I've sadly experienced a lot of having to have difficult conversations it happens, right? And I think, again, sort of these like maxims of good communication come into play. They can never go wrong, right? So like the minute you feel things going off the rails, and you gotta reach out. I mean, you could take a minute, right, and collect yourself, and I think maybe think through some solutions. Like, okay, here's how we could pivot, like, so that you come to that conversation a little bit prepared to look to the future, and then just communicate it, right? No, the worst thing you can do is like sit on it. Just rip that Band-Aid off and have that tough conversation and commit to moving forward together.
Yeah. Transparency is key. Transparency is key especially when it comes to building trust. And if you sit on it and don't say anything about it and wait till the end, you're starting to lose the trust. So the minute it happens, like Kathleen said, just come up with some solutions and then go forward with discussing this is what happened. However, we've thought of X, Y, and Z to be able to see if these are options that you would be interested in.
Okay, great. It's been an amazing time. And before you leave, or as we wrap up this session, I want to know if you could offer a piece of advice to our cohort today, particularly in terms of turning their ideas into impactful ventures. What one piece of advice would you give our cohort today? If you could leave them with one piece of advice for turning their startup ideas into very impactful ventures, what would that advice be? I'll start with you this time, Nina, and then Kathleen.
Okay. I think the biggest thing that I would say is that when it comes to founders, many of them sometimes get so attached to the idea and they really miss what the market is actually telling them. So I would say the biggest thing is stay curious, listen more than you do pitch, and be willing to pivot when evidence says you should. That's the biggest thing that's helped me throughout my hurdles of things that I've been through. And remember that the impact isn't just about a good idea. It's also about execution, sustainability, building something that actually lasts. And that means you have to have like strong operations, not to be biased because I'm an operations person, but you have to have the right people and partnerships to amplify what you actually want to reach. So don't just build something because it's interesting, it's the trend, it's cool, but something that works, something that can be scalable, something that actually solves problems and they're able to set you free. And just trust the process, be coachable, and don't stop learning.
I think that's like really good advice.
Curious.
I would add to that, even if you're not a startup funder, right? I would just add to that. What's that expression? Like the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, right? Mm-hmm. And I was also listening to something the other day about motivation and how sometimes we think we need to wait till we're motivated to do something, but actually action leads to motivation, right? So it's like, if it feels like, oh, I want to do this big thing, it's just take those incremental steps, right? And the motivation will come, the big win will come. I think I heard your keynote a minute before saying, don't give up, because that could be the next day you could hit that big win. So I think it's that, right? Run that marathon one step at a time.
Great. Thank you both so much. It's been an amazing session with you both, and thank you for sharing your advice, your thought leadership with us, your experiences as well, and being vulnerable to share some mistakes that you did make as well. It was a real eye-opener as well, and as you can tell from the engagement with the cohort, there's a lot of key takeaways from your session today. So thank you so much for your time with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So connect with you in the future as well. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So that was our panel for the session today. We heard from Nina and Kathleen. Nina is the Chief Operating Officer of Universal Hospitals Group, as well as Kathleen, who is the Head of Strategic Partnerships, also the Head of Professional Services Industry at World Economic Forum. It was a great session. I'm sure you agree with me. And it's great that you could also share along I saw a few of you sharing your experiences in the chat feed as well. So it's good that you could share as well. And we're discussing building smart partnerships, how startups can collaborate with industry leaders for scale and impact. So I'm sure you learned something from them. So we'll be taking a quick break. When we come back, we'll be having a workshop session about project management and time management as well. So thank you for joining. Stay and stay. Just grab a water, grab anything, and we'll be right back.
Hello and welcome everyone to Afro Future Summit, the second annual Metaverse Edition.
That's what we're doing at the Obama Center. That's what we're doing through the Obama Foundation. That's what this Future Summit is all about.
It's a very much go for the unusual stuff as well as the usual stuff. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
So I really encourage entrepreneurs to be comfortable with numbers and own them, because those numbers, those budgets are a manifestation of your values, and helps me understand as an investor where you're trying to take this company. So we're talking.
Okay, welcome back, and hope you're enjoying the session so far. Hope you're enjoying the Accelerator program so far as well. So I want to take you through a brief workshop about project management, and also getting into a routine in terms of your daily routine that would help you in your business as well as in your daily lives as well. So look forward to that. Questions are also welcome. So I'll be pausing a little bit later and then taking some questions from you. Okay. So in terms of leveraging the program, there are a few things to take note in terms of for communication with the cohorts as well. I'm sure you've all joined the Facebook community, so that's one area where you could leverage networking with others as well. We're also going to set up a WhatsApp group much later where you could connect with your peers as well. And Slack is also another means to check with team communication as well. Okay, where I'll be highlighting for this workshop will be for email communication as well as setting up your LinkedIn profiles as well. In the chat feed, just put in the chat feed how many of you have LinkedIn profiles, and you could share that as well. Someone can pick up it and check your LinkedIn profile and connect with you as well. But if you do, share it in the chat feed. Okay, you could share your LinkedIn profiles in the chat feed. If you do have it, so you can say yes, you do have it, then we could take a look at it as well. But in terms of for professionalism, some of the emails, in terms of setting up an emails, it's always important to set up a very professional email address. A professional email address is not one with funny names or names that are going to make people churn, but it's something that is professional and simple, either relating to you in terms of your first name, last name, and then maybe if for you unique next day, if you could add some other numbers or other words to it, but it should be as professional as possible in keeping it focused on you. And if it's your business as well, it's important to do that. Then once you set up your email professionally, like your first name. So for instance, if I want to set up my email, just use my first name and last name. So if it's taken, then I may add a number, or I can say hello, Senator, to that as well. Then in the email, once I've opened it out, one other important thing to do is to create an email signature, right? An email signature is something is at the end of the email, what goes out to people. It should include your name, your job title, and ways to reach you, either your LinkedIn profile, your email address, and your phone number if you'd like to share that as well, and maybe a little bit about what you do. So probably you are a founder of an organization, then it should be in your signature as well as your company name. If you have links to your company, you could also put the website to that as well. Another thing to consider is your social media profiles. It's important as a business owner to have synced social media profiles where each and every social media profile you have is as professional as possible. So keeping a Facebook profile, Instagram, LinkedIn should be professional to be able to carry on your brand across the various social media channels. And when you are there, it's important to present yourself as well as you can with good images and professional pictures, as well as banners that tell us about what you do. So in terms of LinkedIn has is a professional space where you could update your contacts with your information, that's your image, and then your banners that will tell us what you do. And about what you do is more of putting out your CV out there. So for instance, as you're taking part in this digital startup accelerator program, you can update your LinkedIn profile with that, and you'd find GSE on LinkedIn. So you could even include them or tag them in setting that up in terms of in your experience form or in your education part in terms of where you're going to put the digital accelerator program there. So you could also use your, like I said, your signature to share your LinkedIn profile where others can check you. So for instance, you're reaching out to new partners or new contacts that don't know you. Once you have an email signature that includes your LinkedIn profile, it's easier for them to check and then go check your LinkedIn profile to reference you as well. So talking about email. So these are some emails that I do in terms of names. There are some in here that are not too good, but there are some that have good, like for here you have Augustine Danny at hotmail.com. That's simple and nice and straightforward. And B Harvey GO9 is also good with a blend of numbers as well. We have Karin Charles here as well. That is also good with first name, keeping it as simple as possible. If it's taken, you could add some numbers to it. And this is the signature I was talking about. So as you can see, this is the signature for Christine Team. It has her name. She was listed as a 430 and a 30 entrepreneur. Then her title, she makes the global support system. Then various ways that I could connect with her. So she has an email, she has a LinkedIn, a link to a LinkedIn profile, as well as her social media, like Twitter, which is now X, and her Facebook, as well as her personal websites as well. So here is the link to her organization, that's the Global Startup Ecosystem. Then she also shares her features in terms of publications that she's been featured in, including TEDx Talks, Forbes, Inc. Magazine, as well as SS Magazine and Black Enterprise. So in sum, it's just selling yourself to the recipients of the email in terms of letting the person know who you are in a brief nutshell. So just here and here, if the person decides to just check you to be able to see the character that you have, or if it's to confirm that you are a legit person and that what you do is important, then they can check that through your email signature. So how many of you have use an email signature either personally or for organization? You could also share that as well. Then for LinkedIn, I talked about the header. So for Christine, she's a public speaker, so you could see her image is there, and then the banner seen her speaking to a large audience. So it shows you, once you look at her profile, you know what she does. Okay. Then here's another one that is promoting upcoming events that's the HTTech Summit. So you could also change it up every now and then, as well as occasion to maybe you have a program coming up, or you have a launch of a product or something. You can use your LinkedIn banner to share that as well. Okay, so that's one of the ways to set up your profile, and also set up a good banner. That you have to use good images when you're setting up your banner, and even for your profile picture as well, to be able to be presented as well as possible. So after you've set up your LinkedIn profile, if you do have one, then that's another. Now you can look to connect with your network or build network on LinkedIn, where you could reach out to like-minded individuals or other startups, or find out from organizations that you would like to follow. And then another way is to sync your contacts. So once you sync your contacts to your email, people that you are in contact with most of the time, you would end up finding them on LinkedIn, where you could continue connecting with them beyond the email, and then on LinkedIn, where you could catch up on, send messages on things that are keeping up to date with them as well. You could also input people's emails there to find them on LinkedIn and connect with them. Okay. Once you connect with them, you could also send in some messages to let them know who is trying to connect with them, in case they may not be familiar with you as well. It's also important to accept connections, because you never know who you can connect with on LinkedIn, because most people that will connect with you is because they've seen something on your profile and would like to get in touch to maybe discuss something, or just have you as a connection in case for any future collaboration or endeavor. So it's important to build networks on LinkedIn. Okay. So just these are just a few codes about time management from some authors. So we have to do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. That's from Maya Angelou. Does that speak to you? Then we also have the only thing standing between you and outrageous success is continuous progress. The only thing that's standing your way is that the only thing standing between you and outrageous success is continuous progress. That's from Dan Waldschmidt as well. Then we see hard work spotlights the character of people from some. Hard work spotlight the character of people. Some turn up their sleeves, some turn up their noses, and some don't turn up at all. That's what I'm saying. So these are just some character quotes for time management and doing business from some others that we do know. Some of these are familiar to you, and the names too are familiar. So in terms of time management, right? How do you keep up your time? How is your routine, or are you aware of the routine that you have on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or things that you have to do? It's important to do this as a business owner, in terms of putting up a routine, or putting down a routine to be able to track how much time you're spending on some activities and what you're doing, and in terms of what you spend on each, right? So it's important after you set up yourself, into getting to know yourself in terms of what your routine is, your daily routine. What do you do? So this is just a sample work routine, in terms of maybe you could set up Mondays for planning your work. If you manage a team, you could also plan tasks for your team that you send out to them to accomplish on a Monday. Then Tuesdays, you track assignments that are given to the team. So, for instance, you have a team that works from 9 to 5. So you could break it down into 3 sections where, okay, so we have for the first part, the morning session, where they start working on some assignments and prep and give updates on that. Then you could also check in with that, and then give responses for that, or review that, and then if anything that needs to work on again, they do it for the afternoon session, and of course time for break, and then also carry on after the break with any other assignment that need to be done. So you could duplicate that for the various weeks as well. It's also important to also put in time for rest within the week. I know some people work so hard that even on weekends they don't take a rest and they end up breaking down at some point. It's important to get time to rest. So it's important to put it down as a routine, or even if you have it, just put it down and take note of it. Some have the routine in their head and they just go with it. But it's important to visualize it and putting it down so that you share with others as well to be able to get things done. So once you explain to your team, maybe this is how you want things to work, they'll be able to understand what you want them to do or what is expected of them. Okay, so it's important to work with a routine. How many of you have a routine? Let us know in the chat feed if you do have a routine. You could let us know for you and then for your team as well, so that they know what is expected of them. Know in the chat feed. So we are going to just this is yes, there's an argument about hard work, smart work, and then looking at the difference between the both, or whether is it better to work hard or to work smart, right? And this is just putting the two of them side by side. So looking at what does hard work mean, right? What does hard work mean? What does smart work mean? Hard work simply means, or hard work can be defined as putting in strenuous hours for doing a certain task or set of tasks. Then smart work means finding an effective and efficient ways to complete one or multiple tasks, which also manage time and quality, and both of them. So hard work, putting in strenuous hours of work, doing certain tasks or a group of tasks, right? Smart work, to find effective and efficient ways to complete tasks while also managing time and quality, right? So I believe you can see the difference between the two. Hard work doesn't consider time management or the quality, just looking at making sure this is done at all costs. So I'm going to put in all my effort to get things done, right? While smart work is looking at efficient ways to get things done while also maintaining quality and also managing time. Okay. Then what does both of them focus on? What's the essential focus of hard work? Hard work is focused largely on quantity. So getting as much done as possible rather than quality, right? Because at the end of the day, if you want to work hard, you want to get as much done as quickly as possible. But smart work looks at maintaining both quality and quantity. So being efficient is what we call smart work. Then the approach to both is there's a conventional approach to handling any task without finding any other flexible ways to complete it. So hard work looks at, okay, this is how it's done, so I'm just going by it and getting it done. There's no room for let me see if there's a much better way to get this thing done. And that's where smart work comes in. Smart work explores effective ways to accomplish work, and whether it's delegating or prioritizing tasks, putting them in order of priority, what needs to be done first, and moving on to the next, and then working in that smart process. Then the process, look at the process as well. A simpler process is used with a direct approach to complete a certain amount of work in a particular amount of time, while smart work is more a flexible approach instead of a direct approach. So a flexible approach is opted for with essential emphasis on planning, delegating tasks, organizing a team in a particular way, and prioritizing schedules to achieve objectives. Okay, so that's the dichotomy of hard work and smart work. Smart work maximizes time and looks out for quality and looking out for effective ways of getting things done. Okay. If you have any questions as we go along, you could drop them in the chat feed and then I'll handle it as well. So in terms of time management as well, it's important to know what your work consists of in terms of on a daily basis or weekly basis as well. So it's important to document your operational daily activities, what you spend most of your time doing on a day, then weekly activities to as well as so once you are able to track what you do in a day, it's easier to track what you do within a week, or how much time you spend on certain tasks within a week, then within a month, and on a quarterly basis. So you could have this helps guide conversations with clients about projects or when problems come up, they're able to identify and find solutions to it. Because you are able to track what you are doing, what your team is doing on a daily basis, weekly basis. If it's able to track where problems may come in, because everything is documented. Okay, so also important to have monthly based activities or some program. What does your work consist of? Is it something that you need to put into weekly activities, monthly activities, daily activities as well? Generally, in terms of remote work, that's where you look for well, if you are able to track some of these things, then you know whether organization or your company is set for remote work. And one of the things to consider is about your location, the location of your team, whether they will have access to, whether location is good or has access to Wi-Fi and is it quiet, where you know be hearing some noises in the background when you're on meetings, and also how to go about remote work and what needs to be provided, or if you would like to do full time at the office to get team bonding and getting text and live in person as well. You're able to decide on that if you're able to track how your activities are done and what it entails to be done. Okay. So once you put in that routine, you'll be able to organize your agenda, the agenda for your team in terms of your business for on a daily basis and on a weekly basis as well. So you can see an example of an activity lineup where we look at 8 a.m. you prep for the day. Then from 9 to 10 you manage team, checking in per day, a person individually or within as a team as well, and then also another team elsewhere that's based elsewhere, because that's where you can consider remote, looking at the time difference between each team members. Okay, and then you can also prioritize your tasks or categorize your tasks into getting the hardest one done early, so that as the day goes on, you tackle the ones that are simpler to do. Okay, so that's just suggestion or suggested routine or putting something like this together. Okay, so are there any questions before we go into the just a short and brief assignment for you. Okay, so any questions, just put them in the chat feed and I'll address it. Yes, working smart is the best. Yeah, I do agree with that. Okay, so one thing that is also good for team building, getting to know yourself and your team, is taking a personality test to get to know what your character is and what works for you as well, what kind of people you work with. Okay, so there's this test from 16personalities.com. It's a free test to take to be able to know your personality. So the team is putting in the link in the chat feed. So it's www.16personalities.com. You take that test, you could share the results in the community about yourself and see what that says about yourself, if it reveals something you know about yourself or not, right? Look into that as well. It's pretty much accurate. I think it helps you understand yourself and understand why certain things may irritate you, or how you react to certain confrontations or situations that may arise at work. So you take that test at 16personalities.com, and you could share the results in the community page that was set up. Okay. So I don't have any questions. So that's 16personalities.com. You take that test. Okay, share. The next session we'll look at that briefly before we go on. If you already did the test, that's fine. Then it's yes, you already know what it's about. It's just something we wanted you to do, and then we'll discuss it as well at some point. And that's some of the themes that we'll discuss it. So it's fine if you've already done it. Then you already have your results as well. So we'll share part of it as well. Okay. All right. Okay. So we'll wrap it up here today for the session. It's been an amazing session. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all our speakers for the session today. We heard from our keynote speaker, Sabina Lam, from Mokiza, as well as Word of Money. Then we heard from Nina. I don't want to speak about Nina. The panel, we had Nina and Kathleen Nero on the panel today. We talked about building strategic partnerships, and I enjoyed that session so much. So thankful to all our speakers for the session today. So we look forward to the next session, and it's a reminder to accept all the calendar invites. Once you accept it, you get automatic notifications for when the next sessions are, and also look out for reminders in the email about the sessions. Okay, look forward to that session on Friday. Thank you all so much for joining the session, and look forward to another session as well. Do enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll connect as well.